That's good. Looks like we're recording.
All
All
right,
right,
you
here we
got it?
go. Fair is fair. Ask away.
Excellent. Absolutely. Great. So, obviously over the last week, you showed up everywhere, man. You made the rounds. Let's talk a little bit about this video. I mean, everybody has their own opinion on it, but I want to hear from you. This is your video. Tell me a little bit about, what the intent was behind it.
Everybody's got their own. I've said this for years to my students. It doesn't matter what I say, it's what you hear. Everybody hears something different. I mean, I've always known that. I see it because my students journal. When I do, the way I teach is that I have them write a journal every week. The journal is not graded. No matter what you say, all you have to do is say something, do it. And then I would pull things out and post them. So it's a way of sharing everybody's ideas. And so it's clear to me that, that students all pick up things differently. For example, some students are very confused, by my advocacy of cigarette smoking. I mean, it just doesn't seem to make sense. Some get it right away. I mean, just day one, they get the whole thing. And then I get a journal, week 6. Hey, I got it. I think you're not selling cigarettes. You're just trying to get it. They figured it out. When you figure something out, that's yours, right? So the first thing to understand is that this is a challenge to think. There are 2 things that we generally do in college, and one is learning, and the other is thinking. So my courses all focus on the idea of thinking, of getting the students to think. And you think only in the present moment, and you think only in the presence of confusion, of a question that you don't have an answer to. When my students come into my first day of class, when they go out of that class, they have to think, what the hell was that? What happened? Is this guy just out of his mind, genuinely insane? Am I now in a class with a madman who's going to grade me on the basis of the Calvinist doctrine of predestination? It gets them, it forces them to think. So one of the main objects that I have, my goal, is to get them to question. I say, the point of the Camel's commercial is, when I was your age, everyone knew smoking was bad, smoking was good and marijuana is bad. And now everyone knows that smoking is bad and marijuana is good. I said, I'm trying to get them to answer this question for me. How do you know all those things that you're certain of? And here it goes along with this remark. Everything we ever knew for sure has turned out to be absolutely wrong. We were absolutely certain that we were the center of the universe, that the sun went around us. And it made perfect sense, don't you see? Just look up in the sky, see the sun come up, see the sun go down. You can see it's very obvious that we are the center of the universe and the sun goes around us, but it's completely wrong. It's a natural, you can understand why we would think that, but it's totally wrong. And it turns out that everything, my students come in, they sit down and they've got a head full of stuff that they know for sure. And so the goal of the class is to shake them up, get them excited, get them thinking. I want jazzed students. I want them to come back and say, whoa, what's going to happen today? Normally after my first day of class, you see what happens is, okay, so I walk in, I do my first day of class, the students walk out, and through all their roommates and they're calling up, you wouldn't believe my professor, he's so crazy, everything, and all the buzz is going around about this crazy ass professor. So This time, the exact same thing happened. I sent out the 14-minute video. And I got to tell you, I normally send out a 14-minute video to 120 students, and I'm lucky if 30 of them watch it. You understand? I walked in on Tuesday, I said, how many of you saw the video? Everybody's hands went up. Okay, so here's what happened. A kid saw this video and he said, oh my God, this is insane, crazy. I'm sending this to my uncle. I'm sending this to my mom. I'm sending this to my roommate, cousin, sister's brother, and I started to get emails. Okay, so faculty member in the education. My niece is a student and her roommate is taking your course. So the roommate saw the video, showed it to her, and she sent it to her aunt, right? And the email was, Barry, that was brilliant. I just, it was so funny. It was so, I'm so, all right. So, and then, but the first email I got was from some education person. It's not exactly a professor. I don't know what her connection is, but she has a Ferris email. And she wrote to me and said, I just don't understand why you needed to use all that pornography, profanity, right? I was so tempted just to write back and said, oh, my profanity offended you. Fuck you. But instead, I wrote really nice. I said, here's my 2014 merit essay in which I explain what I'm doing. This will probably help you understand, right? Nobody should be, if you're offended by profanity, fine, so go be offended. But this is America. We have an amendment, the First Amendment, the one that nobody talks about, right? Second Amendment gives white men the right to carry a gun and shoot black people when they're afraid. I saw him, I was scared, so I shot. Stand your ground. That's the one everybody's always talking about. I'm talking about the First Amendment, the one that says that profanity is simply language, it's words, it's a way of communicating. People said that my video was profanity filled. It was content filled. It was filled with all kinds of ideas. You don't usually start the first, say, 14 minutes off talking about the Calvinist doctrine of predestination, right? You might talk about plagiarism, but not the way nobody's going to forget my remarks about plagiarism. Nobody. You understand? And so everybody got all excited about it. Now, I knew something was going on Monday. I sent it out Sunday afternoon. You understand? It's an unlisted URL. The only way you get to see this thing is if you have the address. And so Monday afternoon, I check it and there are 500 views. So that's strange. That's what I thought. That's really strange. And then it was 10,000. Then it was 100,000. Then it was 250,000. It just exploded. And so this is today's mail, 27 pages of, these are all support. These are letters of support. I send out one of these a day to my attorney and support team. And the letters are from people who are vulnerable, people who are afraid to speak, people for whom my talk really touched. Thank God there's somebody who can speak up for us. And it was all about COVID. People don't want to die. Institutions need to require vaccine mandates. Ferris State University is encouraging the anti-vaxxers, and it's putting its faculty at risk. putting students at risk. I have email from students. Dr. Mehler, I am immune compromised and I'm in a 3-hour discussion class. And I asked my professor if I could take it remotely. And he said, no, how can you do that? You have to be here for 3 hours. You can wear a little mask. But it's whether you live or die, I don't give a shit. My wife and I live in this house for 2 years now. We haven't gone out and we have no one in here. We don't expose ourselves because I'm old and she's immune compromised. So nowhere, I don't go anywhere. And now the university wants me to stand in front of a class of 50 students, half of them unvaccinated, for 7 or 8 hours a week. What are my chances? And I went to them last year and I said, look, you know, I'd like to get whatever it is so I could teach my classes all fully online. And they said, okay, yeah, you have to go through the ADA process. You have to qualify under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Here's a 17-page form for you to start to fill out and get 17 doctors to testify that you're immune compromised and you can't survive COVID. Now, how's anybody going to say that I can or can't? This is a deadly disease. It's killed 844,000 Americans. 1 in every 100 elderly Americans. Over 60 are especially vulnerable. What are you asking me to get? I'm just telling you, here it is, prima facie, I am at risk. Will you please give me an accommodation? That's the word I was thinking of, accommodation. Right? No. No, we can't do that because we stand for the anti-vaxxers. I get an email saying, it's just a headache, man, grow some. Right? I get emails saying, what's your back? Every day I get a lot of love and a lot of hate. And the hate, this is amazing. You know, people who refuse to believe that COVID is real and refuse to believe that people need vaccines and are vicious and threatening. Not only are they threatening my life because they refuse to get a vaccine, threatening all of us, clogging up the hospital, Spectrum Hospital, 140% over capacity in their ICUs. God help you if you need to be in an ICU for anything. You go in there and say, sorry, but all these people who didn't get a vaccine are now 140% over capacity. We don't have any room, and our nurses and doctors are just absolutely exhausted from these people who come in here and then demand, to get ivermectin. They should hand them a bottle of bleach and send them home. So they're threatening all of us. And then when someone stands up and says something about it, they are vile and vicious and very profane, by the way. I've been very insulted by their profanity. They've been calling me very nasty names and anti-Semitic as well. All right? And it started with that very first article. The university jumped. I've been here 30 years. And in a single day, they suspended me and made a statement, a profound statement about how disturbing my video was, profanity laden, etc. And started this whole thing off. There was at the beginning this 4-minute cut paste version of my video, and then Dr. Eisler's statement, the university statement. They officially came out. They took down my webpage, as if I'd never been here before. When I've been here for 30 years, I received certificate of recognition from the board. I have contributed all kinds of things to this university. I'm a distinguished faculty member with over 30 years of service here. I came in 1988. You figure the years. and I'm in my last year of service. You know, I created, we have here a program, an award-winning program called the Structured Learning Assistance, the SLA. I created that program. It won the Hesberg Award. It was a very, you know, in 2000. They're still proud of the program, except my name isn't on it. I was the first director and the founder of the Shoah Archive Project, which they're also very proud of. I've contributed to this institution in innumerable ways for over 30 years of service. And then, and you know, was there a complaint? Did anyone complain? I don't know, because I've been teaching this way for 30 years. The students love it. The thing went viral. The president and his office, they saw it and they reacted. Knee-jerk reaction. No investigation. No attempt to they could have, for example, tried to find someone with a sense of humor who could watch it and then report back. Oh yeah, that was funny. If you have a sense of humor, right? I mean, I've gotten letters from all over the world from academics who are saying it was brilliant. And how do I know it was disgusting? You know, the last time I did it, they said it was brilliant. I was nominated for a distinguished professor's award one year, and I was a finalist. So I have this letter. It's part of the package, you know. And the letter, you know, says, you know, the woman who is the chair of the says, you know, we want you to know what a privilege it was, and how wonderful it is that Ferris has you as a professor. They all came and saw the show. Profanity. My show used to be wall-to-wall profanity. See, this is, you know, it's all different now, you know, because I never wanted to teach this way. I used to, okay, so imagine, this is how it happened. You would walk into a darkened classroom. You know, you have, you know, History 122, and it's in room 325, and you're there. That's the right room, but there's no lights on. But there are people sitting in there. The shades are all closed, lights are on. I don't know, you sit down, you wonder, I mean, is this really the class? I don't know, you know? And then when the class starts, you know, the screen comes on with the Rolling Stones, Sympathy for the Devil, you know, blaring away as loud as I can make it. You know, I was nominated for the Distinguished Professor's Award because the guy next door, yeah, you know, he can't teach anybody. He had to wait until the song is over. So he came around. He comes in, you know, and he's a buddy of mine. He's just, so George is sitting by the door. You know, what the hell is going on here? You know, and he got used to it. Just, you know, that was he regular part. Everybody knew that for the first 5 minutes of my show, nobody's teaching anything because I'm cranking that thing up as loud as I can make it. All right. Song's over, lights on, Camel cigarettes. And I am, you know, holding up a pack of Camels, or I have a carton that I, you know, just stuffed with stuff, you know, it's just an empty carton. But, and, you know, and I launch into, you know, don't let them tell you what to think. Take the Camels challenge. Smoke Camels for 30 days. Listen, people, Native Americans were the ones who introduced this to us. They smoked this for thousands of years. What are you talking about? Cancer and bad for you. You know, the reason why the first thing they did was to pull out the pipe and put tobacco in it whenever there was going to be a meeting was because it helps to create a sacred space. That's people. Whenever people get together and they smoke, it creates a sacred space. I mean, I would go and go and go, you know, and that's what I say, you know, students would be, is he really trying to get us to smoke cigarettes? And, you know, and every once in a while, one of them would go out and try, you know. So now let me tell you, see, originally my sponsors were Camel cigarettes and Jack Daniels. I dropped the Jack Daniels because these kids drink. But okay, so my journal. All right, so I took your advice and I went, got myself a pack of Camels, and I got sick as a dog. I don't know why you would recommend that. I vomited. I said, that was a terrible. And I would write back and say, "Oh no, you'll get over that. You just gotta, you gotta stick it out." Yeah, that's right. That always happens. That's, you got to get through that, man. Just, so it's a show. The students loved it. I was rewarded for it. Everybody knew I did it. I'm retiring. It's 30 years now. Nobody has any idea of who I am up there. They know who I am.
Yeah. And I know, obviously I can hear you, as we're talking here, very passionate about teaching, about students. And I know this is your last semester. You want to get back to being able to teach that last semester.
That's right. Well, I have 2 more semesters. Teaching is my life. Among these letters is this fellow who was in 2021. He was the distinguished alumni. He received the Distinguished Alumni Award. He was my student in 2002 and distinctly remembers me, the course. I was one of his favorite professors. I had a profound impact on him, on his whole trajectory of his life and his career. He said this in a letter to me, in a letter to Eisler, saying, I viewed this video, it's brilliant. What's wrong with you? Students from 20 years ago, 30 years, I had a student who took 5 of my classes and 20 years later sent her daughter to take my class. Yeah. She went off, raised this child to come and take my class. My students, I never knew. Really, this has been overwhelming for me. You know that they say thank you every once in a while, and they go off. This guy from last year, the 2002 Distinguished Alumni Award winner, incredible guy. I didn't know. They're out there. This has been just this flood of what kind of a impact I've had on the thousands of students who have passed through my classes. It's been a humbling experience. So tomorrow I go and sit down with an attorney who's going to grill me like, an inquisition. And there's no charge. You understand? There's just you're suspended, and then we'll do an inquisition to see if we can find something to charge you with. They haven't laid out a complaint. It's like Kafka, the trial. I'm on trial for what I don't know. So tomorrow, and she can ask me about anything. But what am I on trial for? What rights do I have in this interrogation? If this is an investigation, why doesn't the investigation include President Eisler and Dean Cagle? Like questions like, did anyone in the dean's office or the president's office ask themselves, whether they should first talk to somebody? Whether it was inappropriate, before the president made his statement, Did anyone in the president's office consider whether it was appropriate for the president to make such a statement? Did anyone consider academic freedom, First Amendment rights, Dr. Mehler's distinguished career, gratitude?
Tomorrow well, yeah. So tomorrow you're just talking with an attorney from the school, not the.
They hired,
not
no,
just
not-
so.
they hired this attorney. They hired this attorney to conduct this inquisition. She's an outside attorney hired supposedly to do an independent investigation. And then they hired another attorney. They're hiring attorneys all over the place. Because I'm going to court. I'm suing them. So they need to have an attorney to protect them from the lawsuit that I'm bringing. So they hired a second attorney. So they hired one attorney to do the inquisition and one attorney to defend themselves. It's going to cost a lot of money. For what? For what?
Right. The lawsuit that you are bringing forward to the school, is that something that you are for sure have decided you are going to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can talk to fire.
Right.
Because I don't know, what to say about that. I mean, my attorney, Matt Hoffer, is putting together the papers right now. And if you've seen the papers that we released, they are liable. They are, and personally liable. President Eisler and Cagle are personally, we're suing the university, but we're also suing them personally for damages, for what they've done to me.
This is regardless of.
The university claims that I have not been disciplined or punished in any way. That a suspension with pay is not a punishment. That demeaning me publicly and taking down my biography and stripping me of my classroom. They took down all my classroom pages. I hope that they have saved them, because I'm going to be back in the class and they better be able to put them back up. They ordered me that in the order I was not to have any contact with current or former students. Where did they get the right to order me not to have contact with my students? In other words, I can't seek support? Well, and the whole thing is really Kafkaesque. It is very Kafkaesque. And it's part of an assault on our union, an assault on academic freedom. And it's brutal. This is a brutal lesson for the faculty. And one of the things that has spurred all these letters is other vulnerable faculty who feel that, that institutions are now turning on them. This institution, Eisler has been, working to destroy this union ever since he got here.
So this, regardless of whether they get you back to teaching or not, you will be filing this lawsuit for libel, for damages, things.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Well, but they're not giving in here. There's no reason for them to start being smart now.
Right.
Here's
Yeah.
how foolish, how stupid this was. So you think they might want to cut their losses. my puppy is complaining of it.
Yeah, she's
disturbing. I guess
getting invested in the conversation.
Yeah.
Great.
It's just it has been so stressful, and that's what you're hearing. Yeah. So it's been very stressful.
Yeah. Well,
when I talk about damages, I mean, this has been extremely stressful. They have dragged me through the mud. they've dragged me, it's just, they've made my life miserable.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen the story on international news outlets. It's
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah, I can't get away from it.
Yeah.
I can't everywhere, I can't take a nap. The phone rings.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Oh,
No.
it's all right, honey. What's the matter? Okay. How are we doing with this interview?
Yeah, it's very sweet. Well, Barry, I appreciate your time. I think, I think people obviously very interested to hear, directly from you.
Yeah.
Last week, I talked to some folks who had your back, and I think they want to hear from you now. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good. So, just keep me in touch, send me a link to the stories and things like that, because, it's too much for me really to try to keep in track of all this stuff.
Like I know there's a lot.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah.
and you have my email. I don't want to use the university's email, just, the Barry Mehler too. Okay.
Great.
Well, it's just been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thanks, Barry. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I've been trying to get in touch with you. I know you're busy, so I figured maybe Fire would
Well,
be able to help.
I didn't want to talk to reporters unless, Katie told me to, and, so when she tells me to talk to somebody, then I do it.
No, totally understand. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, like I said, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I will get you, I'll keep in touch via that email, Barry Mailer too, right?
Right.
At Gmail. Okay, great. I'll keep in touch with that. I'll send you a copy of the story when it runs tonight.
Good.
It's going to run tonight at 11.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much.